talk.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Salon Talks with Sony. I am your host Sony, and we're just gonna jump right into it today. Well, happy February, happy Black People Month, happy African American Month, happy whatever you're gonna call it. Um, in honor of that, I have on my red. In honor of Valentine's Month and in honor of Love Month. I'm gonna get it all in, get it all out if I can. Jesus. Yeah, we're just gonna jump right into it today. We're gonna do a little hair talk. As usual, today I'm giving you guys a bust down jet black beach wave number. Yeah, we're putting the hair up for a bit. I decided to kind of just tuck the hair away for a few weeks while I figure out my next hairstyle, honestly. And this is one of those pieces that you keep underneath your sink. The girls know what I'm talking about. As a throw on, and I watched her, gave her a little 1-2, a little press, a little curl, and we're good to go. That was just the little salon part of the salon talks. Today's topic, let's jump right into it. I actually did a poll on our Instagram page, Salon Talks with Sony. If you guys haven't added it, add, follow. We follow back. I follow back. We chit chat on there, okay? It's not just for pictures and things. We actually go back and forth, and I like to engage with you guys on there to kind of pick your brain on certain topics to see what you guys want to see what you guys want to hear from me. I got a few really good ones. I did a poll on what you guys would like for me to dive into as far as topic goes, and I got a few really good ones. Today's topic is when life doesn't go as planned, aka working through the rough seasons, is what someone actually sent in as a topic. So this kind of goes hand in hand with that. Shout out to her. You know who you are. If not, I will definitely link or at you once this video drops this month. Yeah, maneuvering through tough seasons of life, or when life doesn't go as planned. I know a lot of times we plan our life, we plan our week, we plan our year, and as you should, we all have certain goals in mind that we want to accomplish, all the marks we want to hit. If you have businesses, or if you have a business goal that you're trying to accomplish, we have things we want to get done. And sometimes God just says, my ways are not your ways, and your plan is not quite my plan. And sometimes it seems as though it's like, dang, I'm working so hard and I'm doing this. And then you look at Instagram, or you look at TikTok, Facebook, or whatever your social media outlet of choice is, and you see people progressing, and you see people buying houses, having kids, getting married, starting businesses, and their businesses is doing well. And it's just like, oh, I'm working so hard, and things are just not going as planned for me. Um, it's tough. Honestly, I can genuinely say I think I've also had those seasons where I'm like, okay, God, why not me? If we're just gonna call it what it is, if we're gonna be honest, yeah, sometimes we have the why not me, or the setback where you feel like it's a failure. But I'm starting to believe, and it took me a little while to get here, but I'm genuinely starting to believe that nothing is ever a failure, per se. Especially someone is gonna laugh when they see this episode and me saying this. But I don't think anything is a failure anymore. I think it's either a detour for something greater, or a lesson learned for you to take and now apply to the actual thing that's supposed to be whatever God's plan for you is that's supposed to be. Yeah, and those are usually your tough seasons, because you want to accomplish the goal, and you want to say I did it, mission accomplished. But like I stated, like God's plans are not our plans. I don't know if you guys remember. I think I referenced this before. I'm not sure, but I don't know if you guys remember or have seen the meme um of the teddy bear. I'm gonna try my hardest. I know I've said this almost every episode about clipping something here, clipping something there. I'm gonna try my hardest to find this meme and clip it somewhere. But it was a meme of Jesus holding a teddy bear behind his back, and the teddy bear was huge, huge. Emphasis on huge, compared to the little itsy bitsy cutesy, Zamil teeny tiny teddy bear that it was either a little girl or a girl was holding. And Jesus was basically like, give me your teddy bear. And at that time, to the person standing in front of Jesus saying, give me, as he says, give me your teddy bear, it's like, no, like, you ain't giving me anything back. Why am I now going to dispose of my teddy bear and give it to you? And I'm going to be left with nothing. But they didn't notice that the other arm was hidden behind Jesus' back with an even bigger teddy bear. If we're just using the reference of that teddy bear, with an even bigger teddy bear. So you hand me that little plan, that little vision, that little thought you have. Hand it over to me. Hand it over to me, and I will give you what your mind can't even fathom or believe can happen. And I think that's really what happens with when things or life doesn't go as planned. It does not mean that you aren't successful. It does not mean that you're a failure. It does not mean that why them, not me. The question I think we've all asked ourselves privately or asked God privately, either in our mind and our heart. It wasn't really something you say out loud, but you think it more often. I believe we think it more often than we say. Like, I'm working just as hard, if not 10 times harder. I'm doing this. I'm posting. I'm consistent. I'm working. I'm showing up to work on time. I'm showing up to work dressed properly. I'm meeting all my sale goals. I'm meeting this and doing that. And all the quotas, all of the deliverables that are supposed to be delivered for my corporate people, all of the deliverables that are supposed to be delivered are getting delivered, but I'm not getting that raise. I'm paying off my debt, but my credit is dropping and now I got to work harder or do something else to take it up. I'm posting the content, but the engagement isn't there. Like, what am I doing wrong? Sometimes it's not that you're doing anything wrong. Sometimes God's plan is just a little different for your life than what you want it to be. And a lot of times I think that's the disappointment. It's like we all have our minds made up. I want it to go this way. By January, I want to have this. By my 30th, I want to do this. By 40, I want to be a billionaire. By 25, I want to have graduated college, driving a Mercedes Benz, engaged to be married, planning a wedding. By 26, I'm traveling the world. I'm making all this money, possibly starting a like we all have all these plans. And sometimes they're just not God's plan. I gotta stop. You guys. I watched the podcast back with you guys as they air sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. And I don't know, y'all chime in on this. I can't be the only one that cringe when they hear their voice back. Oh, yeah, I cringe. I cringe so bad hearing my voice back. I don't know what it is. It's been like that for years. I hate hearing my voice back on videos. I think that's why I kind of stuck with the still content type thing. I'll post the pictures. I'm gonna even post a video, just have background music with no sound without me talking because my God, do my voice make me cringe. Sidebar. I done got distracted. I don't even know what I was trying to say. But oh, reference. Okay, so y'all, I'm working on staying focused. I genuinely have 10,000 thoughts that come to me often at one time, and trying to get through a sentence or a paragraph is so much work for me. So y'all bear with me on that. I know sometimes I ramble. It's not rambling. I'm just trying to get all my thoughts out. And you can plan an episode, you can write it down all day long, but sometimes you just gotta let it flow and let the Lord have his way. I said all that to say I watch them back sometimes with you guys, a lot of times on mute, but I can read my lips and tell kind of what I'm saying. And I promise I have a song for everything. Okay, another little just fun facts. When I was in cosmetology school, they gave you a test on how you learn, basically. I'm summing it up, summarizing. They gave us a test on how we learn. A lot of mine was rhythmically. If I'm saying it wrong, someone write the correct word down at the bottom or whatever. But mine is definitely rhythmically or something to do with music. So that is true to the core of me, of who I am. I cannot work without music. If I'm styling someone's hair, there's either music or some type of noise in the background that helps me keep a flow of things, like picking up the comb, putting down the comb, picking up the iron, putting down the iron, needle and thread, pulling through. Everything for me has a rhythm. So y'all take it with a grain of salt, or take it with love that I reference everything with the song. Back to our regularly scheduled program. Sometimes it's just not God's plan. It's just not God's plan for your life. Um, yeah, I never thought I would actually be sitting here in front of a camera, in front of a mic, talking to anyone, hearing my voice play back on YouTube or wherever the videos post and land. Um, so yeah, this was not a part of my plan, but it was part of God's plan, and I'm grateful that I was obedient because hearing some of the feedback from you guys, I genuinely appreciate the fact that I follow God's plan. If you would have asked me, we're just gonna have a heart to heart here on today's episode. If you would have asked me, Deborah, where do you think you're gonna be in 5 years? 5 years ago, this would have not been it. If you would have asked me, Sony, where would you be in 7 years? 7 years ago, this was not my plan. 8 years ago, this was not my plan. 8 years ago, this was not my plan. I had a whole master plan for my life. I think since as a kid, um, I don't know if I've ever shared with you guys or on this platform, but even being a hairstylist was not part of my plan. I've always, I think I loved a creative outlet. Let's just say that from the start, because I learned how to braid at 7 years old. I loved Barbie dolls. I loved dressing Barbie dolls up. I loved playing in their hair. And one day, I was very much an introvert from the jump. I can remember the day I actually learned how to braid on my Barbie doll. I was sitting in the corner, as I do often, playing with my Barbie dolls, and then one led to two, two led to three. I got a three-strand braid, and boom, it just never stopped. From that, all the other skills developed, and um, I think at 8 years old is when I grabbed a curling iron because my mom used to put all these ponytails in our hair, and I grabbed a curling iron, and I was like, it was a Con Air. Shout out to Con Air. It was a purple jelly Con Air curling iron, y'all. God's plan is not our plans. It was a purple jelly curling iron. And I just wanted to stop my mom, from doing, I would say our mom, because I'm thinking about referencing my sister and my siblings. I just wanted to stop our mom from putting these ugly braids in our head. She was doing the best she could, but it hit me. I was like, at 8 years old, mind you, it was before church. It's so crazy. I have a vision of it so vividly. I had on this purple shirt and some denim jeans, and I just so happened to have this purple jelly curling iron. And at that time, my mom used to relax our hair. So my hair was freshly relaxed, and it was before church, and I was just like, absolutely not. You're not about to throw 20 ponytails with barrettes in my hair. Absolutely not. At 9 years old. I did a half up, half down. I did the two pieces in the front. I took that curling iron, baby. You could tell me anything. At 9 years old, a visionary. I took that curling iron and I went to town. I curled my two pieces. Now, the half up, half down with the two curling pieces didn't start today. Okay. I took my curling iron, curled my two bang pieces, curled my ponytail, curled the back half that was down. That's where Sony the stylist started. And from then, I forced my little sister to sit down and allow me to try all these styles, and you couldn't tell me anything then. But even then, that was not the plan. I didn't plan to be a hairstylist. I just saw that that was a creative outlet for me because I like anything arts and crafts. And that was a creative outlet for me. So I kept with it. I stuck to it. And I didn't want my mom putting 10 ponytails in her head and having us look at five for the rest of our lives or getting these ugly braids. So I was like, nah, I'm gonna stick to it. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna learn all these styles and I'm gonna be able to do it for me and my little sister because if mommy can't afford to get our braids done and she has to do them herself, we're not gonna be out here looking crazy. I'm gonna have this figured out. And I stuck to it. But my plan was to be a fashion designer. Like, you couldn't tell me that I was not going to be a designer. You couldn't tell me that I was not going to one day be on Rip the Runway. If y'all don't know what that is, for the kids, for not even the millennials, that's currently, that's what we are. That's what I am. But for the Gen Z, go on Google and look up Rip the Runway. Or what's the one show? The one show with Heidi Klum. And fashion, 1 minute you're in, and the next minute you're out. Ow! You could not. I had to be all of maybe 10. I used to binge watch that with my little scrapbook, sitting there drawing with them as they draw, like, and trying to have everything drawn up and sketched out on time so I could go and make my outfit. What outfit was I making? I didn't even have a sewing machine. At that time, I was ripping my clothes before I knew about Joann's. I was ripping my clothes, ripping my t-shirts, hemming them down, taking needles and clipping them together, and then taking needle and thread by hand and sewing them. So in my mind, I just talked about this with a client like earlier this week. Oh no, late last week. How I just knew I was going to New York for fashion school, for fashion design. I knew I was going to SCAD. I knew teenage Deborah, preteen Sony knew she was going to be a fashion designer and I was going to be living my best life in New York after I've graduated fashion school. And I have all of these great connections. I was going to be styling all of these celebrities. And where am I today? I hate New York. Sorry to all my New Yorkers. I love you. Thank you so much for watching. City attitude is just not for me. I am such a Southern girl at heart. It wouldn't have worked out because I'm so empathetic, because I'm so, hey, good morning, good afternoon. I feel like, yes, eventually I would have either figured it out, but I know that wouldn't have been the end all for my life. I wouldn't have stayed in New York. There's just no way. Like the subway culture, it gives me anxiety. Getting on the train in New York gives me anxiety. Anytime I travel through there and we stop, or the last couple of times I had to travel through New York and there was a layover and a long layover, it stank. It was dirty. The people was rude. They don't say excuse me. When you say excuse me, they actually look at you like you can't be from here, because we know we don't say excuse me. Like, so yeah, that was my plan for my life. And I would have went to New York at 18 years old from the South, having probably the hardest time of my life. Like, thank God for gifts, and that I had the option to pick between which gift I was gonna go with, whether it was gonna be being a hairstylist or being a fashion designer. My mom said, "No, you are not. No, that city is too big. You are not gonna make it. No, you're a girl. You've been here all 18 years of your life. No, absolutely not." But I also told her, "No, I ain't going to nursing school. I'm not gonna be a doctor. I'm not gonna be nobody's lawyer. Like, you either accept that I'm gonna be some type of artsy crafty something, or we're near it." And thank God for gifts. Um, thank God for gifts. And it worked out for God's glory, and it worked out for my life, that I also had another gift that was just as good, that I fell back on, which was cosmetology. And right after high school, I don't even think right after high school, I was already looking at schools. I attended Paul Mitchell and Duval County. I attended Paul Mitchell, shouts out to them, in Duval County. And I had already applied and all of that way before graduation, because my mom said no to New York. I said okay to Paul Mitchell. And did everything I needed to do and graduated there, and the rest is history. And here I am today doing salon talks in my salon suite. Black owned business, Black woman owned business, Black immigrant owned business. We can keep going. You know what I'm saying? Like, the rest is history. But this was not my plan. This was not my vision. This was just not something that was planned for me. And I thank God that his plan was bigger and his vision was bigger, because I was able to serve, which is what I feel like I'm here for, is to serve. And I've encountered so many beautiful women from so many different walks of life. I've had one-on-ones with so many beautiful women in so many different walks of life. I've worked with elite professionals in this walk of life. It's it's put me in so many different rooms that I don't think I would have been in if it wasn't for the plan shifting. I'm sure, I want to say I'm sure, because true to who I am, I'm sure I would have been successful in some way, shape, or form. Um, God wasn't gonna just give me crumbs, never that. But um, I don't think I would have been as at peace uh as I am right now in this season of my life. I don't think I would have been at peace. New York is different. I have family there, of course. Like I said, it would have worked itself out, but that was not the journey that I was supposed to go on. It wasn't the plan. And yeah, God shifted that, and it led me to here, where I am in Texas, and I love it here. It's a perfect mix of everything for me. You get the city life if you want it, and you get the family life if you want it, and you have a good in between. You have different cultures. It's a melting pot. Deciding on which side of town you choose to stay on, and you don't have to stay in your area. You can venture out and go see and do new things. So yeah, I love it here. But what if I had went to New York and actually became a fashion designer? I mean, don't get me wrong, that would have been lit. And who's to say don't shortchange God, because who's to say in the near future y'all won't get a piece or two or three from your girl? I'm not throwing no hints or nothing, but who's to say? Who's to say? But I had to go through everything I went through, I believe, to be able to maneuver that industry, because that's no joke. I had to model to know how the model would feel if they were to come in and audition for whatever line I might start. Who's to say? You know what I'm saying? Like, now I know what it feels like to be on all sides of the industry, genuinely. So if I was to launch anything, it would literally be a full circle moment for me. And just thinking about it right now is bringing tears to my eyes, because, like I say, we have this plan and we have this vision for our life, and whenever things just doesn't work out how you want it to, it is crushing. It's very crushing. And it's like, well, like, wow, God, like, you just gonna leave me out here? Like, I've been working hard, I've been doing this, that, and the third, and it just isn't working out. But you don't know what he got behind his back in that other hand, waiting for you to say yes so he can hand it to you. So he can hand it to you. I say, when life starts to hit those rough seasons, that's really when you should lock in. That's really when you should zone in. That's when you this piece of hair. Sorry, y'all. That's when you should really lock in and journal and write and really get that one-on-one with God, and don't let the pressures of life take you down, cuz God's plan, God's plan. God's plan. I'm gonna try to put that at the end of this episode, because it's just, God's plan is the best plan, and his ways are not our ways, and it always works out. It always works out. I'm a living testimony that it always works out. Um, from the beginning of my life to the end has all been God's plan. I was a preemie. I was a preemie. Let's stop. Okay. It's getting a little close, but that's what we're here for. This is a space for vulnerable conversation. So I'm gonna dig in a little deeper. I'm gonna really give y'all a piece of who I am. I was a premature baby, you know. Um, my mom thought, oh, she's coming at this month, this day, this time. God said, well, no, sister girl needs to come out just a little bit earlier. So a little bit earlier. I was a 4-pound preemie baby. I was supposed to come a month later than I came. But God's plan was for me to be here earlier. So everything genuinely that I was planning, or my mom was planning, or life, or I thought I was new, God always takes the wheel. Whoa. I'm not going to reference that. But y'all know what it is. Whoa, whoa. Like, swerve. God really takes the wheel and swerve me to the left or to the right or straight forward. Just launches me in there, because his plan is the best plan. And I think we all have to stop being so hard on ourselves and just sometimes allow Jesus to take the wheel. Like, um, I know social media has a large play on that. I feel like social media has put pressure on us, or we allow it to put pressure on us in ways that were never there before. And it's unrealistic. It's sometimes it's just unrealistic. Yes, write the vision, make it plain. The Lord says that. Write the vision, make it plain. Um, Without a vision, you perish. So you gotta have some type of goal constantly. That's life. But when God shifts, learn how to shift with him. If he say duck, you duck. If he say rise, you rise. If he say cruise, you allow that thing to cruise control. Like, we can't, we can't want control so bad that you don't see when it's God actually working. Because genuinely, what you do? Who this for? Who you doing all of this for? Your own self glory? Like, after you get, if you ask, this is my 5 thoughts happening at one time right now. Y'all just start laughing in action. If you ask most of these celebrities that have won all of these accolades and all of these awards and the Grammys and the this and the that and the hat, all the money, all the cars, all the clothes. I suppose that are successful after the lights get turned off and they're home alone and they're sitting with all these things and all this fame and all of this, how they feel. A lot of them are empty. A lot of them are sad. A lot of them are depressed. Like, sometimes all of that does not fill that void. And I think majority, I don't want to misquote, I don't want to guesstimate, but I this is just my opinion. I choose to believe that majority of us feel void when it's not purpose driven. Like, yeah, I have all these things, but I'm going home to be alone. Yeah, I have all these things, but I'm a broken person. Yeah, I've accomplished every plan I've set forth. I got all these monies. I'm driving the car that I want, and I have nothing else to show for it. I don't have a family. I don't talk to my parents. I don't have a good relationship with my parents. Like, let's be real. We can plan all we want. We can even accomplish all these things genuinely, right? But I sincerely believe, and this is just my belief, that when it's not God's plan for your life, you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be like fully happy. You're not going to be, and don't get me wrong, even being happy, you have bad days, you have moments of disappointment, but there comes a peace with that. Like, well, if it ain't meant to be, it ain't meant to be, when you believe that it's God's plan. But when you're doing it just for self gain and the accolades to show people, yeah, look, I did it, there's a void that comes with that. So allow life to happen and just trust and believe that even though the plan didn't go as planned, even though the vision didn't get completed like you would want it to, God has the final say. And whatever He says will be beautiful. Let it be beautiful. It will be so beautiful. And there will come such a peace within that you'll look back and say, I really thought I was going to be living in a high, I'm just generalizing. I really thought I was going to be living in a high rise, driving a Bentley with 2 kids, a husband, a dog, and everything in between, living my best life. And not to say that some people are living like that and are at peace. Yeah, that's how it was supposed to be for them. Don't get me wrong. But you're still living just as good. You're still all your limbs work. You can read, you can write, you can drive. And as long as you keep that goal in mind, watch God work. Watch God work. Watch God work. As long as you have that faith, as long as you're putting in the work, because faith without works is dead. You have to put your hand to the plow. You got to do something. As long as you're doing something and staying locked in, watch God work. How old was Sarah when she had a baby? For those that don't know Sarah in the Bible, I'm referencing Sarah in the Bible. How long was it before she had a baby? Okay. So just because it doesn't happen this year and it doesn't happen next year, doesn't mean that it won't happen at all if you keep working towards it. A plan is just that, just a plan. The action is what makes it happen. And just because it doesn't go as you plan, it doesn't mean that if you keep the action going, that it won't ever happen. It's just not time yet. Everything happens in God's perfect timing. In God's perfect timing. I truly believe that. As I sit back sometimes, and I sit back a lot because I'm a thinker. Everything happens for me up here. Everything happens for me up here before it ever comes into action. So I think often and I think a lot. I'm never not thinking. I'm thinking right now. I think often and I think a lot, but sometimes when I sit back and I think I would have been a mess if God allowed me to touch some of the things I'm touching now. Then I wouldn't have had the maturity. I wouldn't have had the intelligence that I've gained to apply. I wouldn't have been responsible. I wouldn't have had the responsibility to be able to carry the load. It's just so much. And I'm just like, at that moment it sucked. At that moment I was disappointed. At that moment, um, I might have been a little upset with God if we're being honest, but I genuinely I appreciate how life panned out outside of my plan. Outside of my little journal and notebook. It planned out how it panned out, and I'm the most at peace I've ever been. I do have my moments. Um and healing is a journey and it's not linear. So that's something you constantly have to apply yourself to keep at base. But I even have time to even allow myself that. And I don't think excuse me, I don't think I would have been who I am today if I would have stuck to that plan I had when I was 16 and 17 years old. Like, realistically, come on. At almost 32, I don't think I would have been who I am today if I stuck to that plan. But I'm grateful and I'm thankful for the seasons, the low seasons. Um, and the only thing I can say about how to get through those tough seasons is to keep the faith. Keep the faith. And whatever you choose to believe in, whatever your faith is, it's like you literally have to kind of gain tunnel vision, and no matter how bad it looks, to see that light at the end of the tunnel, or to see your plan, to see your vision, to see your goal. You gotta wake up every day saying, this thing already happened. I'm just waiting to get there. Like, I'm just not waiting to catch up to it. But whatever your plan is, your goal is, your vision is, it has already happened in that future. You're just catching up to it. My God, that's a word. Did y'all catch that? Whatever your plan is, whatever your vision is, when things aren't going as planned, just think to yourself, it has already happened. I'm just driving to that destination. I'm just pressing forward another day to get there, to get to that future me that's already actively in. I always say I'm not gonna preach to y'all, and I end up preaching to y'all while I preach to myself. Because encourage yourself, in other words. Yeah, it has already happened. Even me, Sony, it has already happened. You're already there. You're already your future you. You're just working and trying to catch up to that future you. I genuinely, I really believe that. And if you keep believing that, eventually it will be reality. And yes, plans change, and yes, things shift. It's just a detour. A lot of times they're doing road work and they close a lot of these roads, and we have to take a different route to get to where you're going. But guess what? You got there with that new route. Sometimes things are just a detour, never a denial from God. And when it is a denial, it's for your protection. You never know what God is protecting us from. And a lot of times you're upset, you're mad, but protection. You never know what God is protecting us from. And a lot of times you're upset, you're mad, but you just never know what God is blocking you from. And you look back when something happens. Oh my God, I was supposed to be on that flight. Oh my God, I was driving that day. Oh my God, I took that road right before it happened. It happened 5 minutes after you crossed through the light. But what if you had waited 5 minutes? Or what if you were 5 minutes behind time on where you were supposed to go? Or what if sometimes we're late? Oh, there's so much traffic, so much traffic, so much traffic. An accident happened right where you were going. What if you derouted and went somewhere else and ended up being on time? God forbid, in Jesus' name. But what if? So yeah, sometimes we just have to accept that things don't go as planned. Learn your lessons the first time, or else God will keep replaying them to you. Or keep giving them to you in the same format. I promise you, just different characters. So yeah, that's it for today's episode. Thank you guys so much that responded to the poll on Instagram. Again, you guys add us on Instagram. It is at Salon Talks with Sony. One word, no spaces. At Salon Talks with Sony. Thank you guys so much for watching every episode. I appreciate every last person that watched. I know we're still fairly new. We're still a baby, and we're growing. And I truly appreciate the people that have stuck along from the big announcement until this episode today. We did a month already. After this air, it'll already be a month of episodes. So I'm truly grateful. I'm also learning as I go. Take all mistakes with love. Any sound issues, any different background settings, we're still working on production. But I am truly grateful. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Please share, like, comment, subscribe. We're growing, so don't just be watching and not be subscribed. Because, like, what are you really doing? All right. Thank you guys. I love you guys so much. Happy Love Month. Happy Black History Month. Black. Peace.